This is the whole thing I've talked about where people suggest trading down for quarterback. No team has traded down for quarterback in the first round in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's happened 4 times in the last 30 years. Felger's whole thing about the transition tag being used 5 times in the last 10 years says that's still more times than a quarterback has been traded down and taken.
I hate it.
Thank you, Felger.
Yeah, that's not the whole, like you said, you trade down. We'll just get our guy later. Yeah, but there's somebody that wants their guy
right,
now.
and then somebody jumps you, and even if you think, oh, well, we'll trade down 3 spots, and these next 2 teams don't need a quarterback, and then somebody trades up. And then somebody trades up, and now your whole offseason's blown up. And what was it for? To get a future second-round pick?
Yep.
Is that really worth it?
The team at 8 doesn't need a quarterback, but the team at 10 does. And they're going to leapfrog and get that guy and steal your guy. That's why if you want your guy, you better go get him. It's not. It's a gamble, but don't weaken your odds just to play around, especially when it comes to quarterback position. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so then the thing becomes, who is your guy? And I think what we're starting to see at this point is what is called prospect fatigue. Because you've heard Drake May take a beating this week in terms of, is he really that good? Is he really top 3 pick? Oh, well, J.J. McCarthy's going to pass him. He shouldn't. Oh, J.J. McCarthy's going to pass him. And then we did this with Jaden Daniels last week, right? And, Jaden Daniels' teams aren't sure, and he didn't weigh in, and yeah. What people need to understand, what happens is, normal media people talk about this for 3 months. I've been doing it for a year. The draft people have been doing this since, call it 10 months. But, and there's this expectation that you have content constantly. And we've known Drake May was a top 3 pick, top 2 quarterback in this draft. He was the consensus QB2 going into the season.
Yes.
Drake May is, and I have him as my 3rd quarterback, but still as a top 5 pick. But the point being,
yes.
We've known Drake May for a long time. Everything's been written about Drake May going top 5. Everything's been written about Drake May being the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback in this class.
Yep.
And at a certain point, it happens inevitably every year with all the top prospects. Somebody just decides, well, what if he's not? Like, hypothetically, what if he's not that guy? And it kicks off this whole sequence where everybody starts second-guessing the player. The other thing is, Drake May's film has been combed through so much at this point by so many people that every little nitty-gritty thing is being picked apart. J.J. McCarthy's not being picked apart to that level. Jaden Daniels isn't being picked apart to that level because those guys are new. Those guys just jumped on the scene. A lot of their tapes being gone through for the first time. You got to hang through the prospect fatigue. The reality is, as much as we go through and we put weight on the combine and the Senior Bowl and the pro days and this and that, yada, 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 80 to 90% of the evaluation is still what the guys did in the fall. You know why? They were playing football in the fall. They are football players. That is what you're drafting them for. You're not drafting them to run 40s. You're not drafting them to run the gauntlet or however you want to call it, right? You got to at a certain point trust your gut, know what you saw on the football field, and go from there. So to me, all the Drake May talk about him falling down, I don't think it's anything more than prospect fatigue. I know some people may think, oh, well, now he's been studied further and the flaws are coming. You dig into any player further, you will find flaws. We did this with Caleb Williams 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was.
We did it with all 3. We did it with everybody except for, the Will Levis of this year's draft is J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
Also, he's Zach Wilson, came out of nowhere. Oh, he's just the greatest thing we've ever seen. You get it on the opposite end. Guys no one talks about. And then at the last second, someone says, hey, what about this guy? Now you got J.J. McCarthy jumping into the top 10. You got Drake May. I've seen this week alone, I've seen Drake May listed as the number 1 quarterback. I think it was like Bleacher or something like that put him out. He was the number 1 quarterback. And then I see someone else had him as like the 7th best quarterback. And it's like, come on now. It's getting silly with this. And I've been critical of Drake May, but I also said I'd be happy if he ended up a Patriot because he's a good player. He has flaws. They all have a weakness or a flaw. And like you said, if you watch every game and every snap, you're going to see some. But I think if with the right coach and right guys developing him, you can clean things up. These guys, none of them are going to be perfect. But like you said, people are just getting real silly with it either way with all these guys, and it's just getting crazy.
And that's what it comes down to, is what you just said, that whether or not you draft the right guys, half the battle. There have been very talented quarterbacks that have gone to bad situations and been declared busts. There have been some not so great quarterbacks that have gone to tremendous situations and been, quality players. It's a whole nature versus nurture thing. So I would just urge everybody this week. Like, I still have Jaden Daniels over Drake May. I've said this, like, it's close. It's close for me. And I think you end up with either one. Like, again, if we're going to go back to the Madden ratings, right?
Yeah.
One might be an 85, one might be an 84. That's kind of how I view it.
With different attributes. One's good here,
right.
One's good here.
It's a flavor thing, right? What do you want? Yeah. What do you want your quarterback to do? Drake May is more,
good point.
He's bigger. He's more of a scrambler than a runner. He's better at throwing to the middle of the field, but he's a little bit looser with the football. Jaden Daniels is more of a true runner. He's better throwing outside the numbers than he is to the middle. He takes care of the ball very well, but he takes some big hits he probably shouldn't take. Like, what do you want, right? What do you want to build around?
Lamar
That's
Jackson
what it comes down
Josh
to.
Allen.
Kind of, yeah. That's a really good way to put it. And that's hypothetical, prefer Lamar. I have for a long time, so that's probably why I have Jaden Daniels just a little bit, a scooch higher than Drake May.
And I think either way, though, you come out of it with a decent quarterback in the first round. Even Penix. I like Penix a lot, but I understand his knees and stuff like that. But I still think you come out of it with a decent quarterback. And when no one's going to care about the cone drills or the shuttle drills, whatever, or the interviews and all that stuff come September. You're going to be looking at the talent, in July at training camp, preseason games. No one's going to care about all that stuff. And it's going to come down to player development. You can pick the guy in the third round. If you develop him right, he can be a Pro Bowler. It's all about coaching and development once you get to this point. And this whole dissecting guys and moving them up and down the board, like you said, it's just content stuff. But it's going to come down to the coaching no matter who you end up with. If it's Caleb Williams, it's going to come down to how you develop and what you put around him.
So I urge all of you, know what it is. It's prospect fatigue. No, and that doesn't mean you can't change your mind at all. Like, as new information is presented, things like the combine, maybe find out a guy like has an injury we didn't know about. Like, you can change your mind on that. But to say, I watched Drake May's tape in October and I liked it, and now I'm watching it again and I don't like it as much. Well, no, you're just looking for a problem now. You're just looking to have a problem with him because you need something new to say about him. That's the difference for me. If there's new information, change the board up all you want. Don't go back and just reset old opinions for the sake of resetting your opinion.
Yeah, and with me, like I said, I've been critical of May, but that doesn't mean I don't want him as a quarterback. If he's there at 3 and they pick him, I'll be happy. Trust me. And some of the flaws, the issues I've seen with him are things that can be coached. It's not his athletic ability. It's not his arm strength. It's not his size or whatever. It's, hey, on that play there, just take the sack. No, it's little things like that.
It's another great point. None of these guys are perfect. And would you rather fix Drake May where his issues are more coachable? Or I've seen people say like, wait till day 3 and get Spencer Rattler, who's 5'11", can't coach height.
You can't coach height.
And has some leadership questions. You can't coach mindset. So
you
just remember, no, if you're going to just wait, I've seen people say like, oh, no, I don't love any of these quarterbacks. Just wait till another year and draft a guy you feel better about. You're not. Yeah. You're not going to feel better about him. It's scary. Drafting quarterbacks scary. This is just where the Patriots are. We're all going to have to get through it.
Exactly. When someone says that, say who? Who in college right now do you want the Patriots to get next year?
Oh, I wouldn't take a quarterback third overall. All right, what's your plan then? What's your plan?
Exactly. And if your job was on the line, would you say that?
Right, exactly. It's easy to say, I signed Jacoby Brissett as a bridge. And then what? Congrats. You got there 1 year. You're probably going to miss the playoffs now. So you want to bet your job that next year you're going to be able to get a better quarterback. So.
You and the end zone militia just got sent out the door because you want to wait.